It's not motivation you want, it's habits. The quality of your life, of all of our lives, equals the quality of the habits or the routines or rituals, whatever word you want to use, that we have. So, what is a habit? Let's have a look at this diagram. With a habit, you can see that there is a cue, there's a trigger that tells our brain to go into automatic mode. And a cue can be internal, such as a feeling or a thought, or external, such as a time of day or being around certain people. All these things are cues or triggers that as soon as we are around that environment or that context or in that time, bang, there's a routine or that's performed. And this is the behavior that leads to the reward. So the routine can be physical, like eating a chocolate, or it could be cognitive, that you can actually remember a test, or emotional, I feel anxious in a maths test. The third part is the reward, and not surprisingly, the reward can be physical, like a sugar craving, or cognitive, that gets us interested in something, or again emotional, that I always feel relaxed in front of the TV. So the reward determines if a particular habit loop is worth remembering. And when a habit emerges and our brains say, yes, this is worth remembering and there's a really cool reward, well, then it goes into automatic mode. It gets stored in the part of the brain called the basal ganglia. This can be good or bad, because when a habit emerges, the brain stops fully participating in the decision making, because that's the nature of a habit. It's automatic. It stops working so hard and diverts focus to other things, other tasks. And that's why, rather than fighting the old habit, and the research is saying that that's very, very difficult to change, we need to start creating what's called keystone habits. These are positive habits, such as eating the right foods, exercising, setting good, clear, concise goals, focusing on one task at a time, and working on the most important or difficult task when we're at our most energetic and when our self-control is at its strongest. So it's not about feeling motivated, it's about setting up consistent routines that create these positive habits that will just unfold automatically. In the mornings now, I go for a walk, and this has been happening for about 5 years, and here I am on my walk this morning. And in the summertime, I go to this little outdoor gym, not far from my place, and then I come back home and have a swim, and it's a cool routine. And I know that when I do this, regardless of whether I'm travelling around Australia presenting my accidental counsellor training, wherever I am, I need to make sure that I'm out and I go for a minimum of a half-hour walk, but usually I do some sort of exercise routine for 50 minutes to an hour, and I am then much, much better for the rest of the day. So oftentimes, I would have people say to me, I don't know how you can get motivated to get up and go and do what you do in the mornings, your exercise routine. And I was thinking about this and I thought, actually, I don't really feel motivated to go either. But it's become automatic. And this is what I mean by creating these good habits. So let's go through this diagram that can help us create the habit that we want to create. So we can just write down here what our new habit will be. It might be a new study routine or an exercise routine. And let's begin with the cue. Step 1. Every habit has a trigger, a cue. And this is what some of the cues are. What time will this habit occur? Where will you be? Who else will be around? What will you hope to have finished? And what emotion do you think you'll be feeling? Now, you don't need all of these to create a habit. Only one of them is needed to become a cue. The more of these cues you test out, the faster the habit takes hold. Okay, let's look at number 2. Here is the reward. Now, this is really going to be the big thing, because if you're engaging in a routine, which is number 3, the brain's going to want to know that the reward's worth doing this routine. What reward will you give yourself at the end of the behaviour? So as I said, for me, it was really mostly about how the rest of my day would unfold and how I'd feel about it. Do you actually enjoy this reward? And if it's a yes, after a few days, ask yourself, do you crave this reward when you're exposed to the cue? In other words, when it's that certain time and that certain environment, are you looking forward to the reward that's coming with the behavior, whether it's exercise or the study routine? Now, look here, over here to number 3, the routine. Now we want to put it all together. In this diagram, routine, where we have this line, this is the new behavior that you want to become a habit. And cue, this is from step 1. What's the cue? What's the time of day? Where will you be? Who will be around? Will you be listening to music? So the other thing I wanted to mention was that when I go for my exercise, I'm listening to podcasts and things that sort of fill my mind with really cool, positive things. And so here now I'm exercising my body, which is obviously good for my body, but I'm also exercising my mind. Once we've got the cue in place, we want to have a look at the reward and make sure that we have a really good reward. And it might be extrinsic, like a little treat or a movie or some time off to relax. But the reward ultimately will need to be how it makes you feel. Studies show that the easiest way to implement a new habit is to write a plan. So let's get right down to the bottom here. And we want to complete this. When, and here we want to include the cue. I get up in the morning and go for a walk or whatever the exercise is or whatever the routine is, or when I get back home from school or whatever, I complete the task. When I get up at whatever time in the morning or when I get home from school or whatever the case may be, we want to get this answer here from the answers we came up with in step 1 when we looked at the cue and the trigger. I will describe the routine because it provides me with and then outline the reward. And you want to make sure you post this plan where you'll see it and try it for a week. Eventually, studies say the new behavior will become automatic and you've now programmed a really cool positive habit, which means that you don't have to rely on how you feel to get things done that don't make you feel that great, because now it's a habit and it's automatic.